there's a 17-year-old in custody in Kenosha who basically was been trained from a very young age by his mom, I think, to respond in the manner in which he did, which was, I've got to go and protect. I don't know who he thought he was protecting. He's not even from Kenosha. But this is an opportunity for me to engage in the fantasy, the 17-year-old fantasy mind that I have, where I can play, paramilitary, like his mom apparently has taught him to do.
Hey.
Shot 3 people, killed 2. Here is Senator Ron Johnson, incapable, because of who his voters are, of condemning this guy. Clip number 10.
Ask you the question that I was going to ask you, sir. We saw 2 people killed by a Trump supporter in your home state of Wisconsin, in Kenosha last week. And these deaths do appear to be the result of clashes between the right and the left. So doesn't the president have a responsibility to call out violence regardless of who is committing it?
Yeah, and the governor has responsibility to accept the surge in manpower so that people, so that citizens don't believe they've got to protect their own property.
I'm asking about the president. We can talk about
matters
the
in their own hands, because that's really what happened. No, what the president did was he offered to surge manpower resources so the violence could end. The governor did not accept that day. That night, tragically, 2 people lost their lives because citizens took matters in their own hand. I'm not for vigilantism. I'm not sure that's what was happening. People felt because the governor and local officials were looking for help. The governor did not accept the help, and so there was not the resolve to end the rioting. And so people took matters in their own hands, and that's what ended up happening. People die. You have to get control of the situation. And the way you do it is what happened in Milwaukee, in Kenosha, where local officials said, please, we want help. We want manpower. The president offered. The governor finally accepted it. And now at least the streets are not violent. We still have the protests. The businesses are still shuttered. Those individuals' constitutional rights are being violated because they can't operate their business and enjoy a living.
Senator, that
so again, you have to look at the entire situation.
The 17-year-old accused of committing those 2 murders was a Trump supporter.
It's a tragedy.
Do you condemn that?
It's a tragedy.
Do you condemn it?
It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy.
It's a tragedy,
the entire situation's a tragedy. Listen, I don't want to see any loss of life. It's a tragedy, and the way you prevent these tragedies is you support law enforcement.
Could be a car
calm
accident.
the situation. You allow for peaceful protests, but you don't allow peaceful. You don't allow peaceful protests to turn siege into siege. Listen.
There you go. He will not condemn that. He will not condemn a guy who shot 3 people, killed 2 people. Incidentally, that 17-year-old, this is going to come as a shock to people. Not a business owner.
He's a business defender.
Yeah. He's not a business owner, and I don't know what businesses he was defending.
Well, according to an article by Matt Binder that I read today to kind of catch up on this, he was nowhere near the business he claimed to be defending when the shooting happened, when he shot those people.
Well, he's got to go out and preemptively protect the businesses, I guess, supposedly. I mean, this is what Donald Trump wants. They want to make this a big story. They want this to happen. If Donald Trump has his way, this will happen in every city across the country.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anyone should be surprised that it is happening in this way, and no one should be surprised that the cops seem to be on the side of the white militia groups, because there's a lot of overlap in between the cops and the white nationalist militia groups, and more reporting is coming out on that every day.
It's indicative of the pre-existing problem, which is that they perceive segments of the population as their enemy. And that's what allows them to take these types of actions. And I'm not talking specifically about any specific any specific act. I'm not talking specifically about Jacob Blake, just talking in general. This is the attitude that they have towards a huge portion of the population that they police in that way, as opposed to protect and serve.
And it's interesting that Ron Johnson uses the word tragedy to describe this, because what he says right after that is it's a tragedy that there weren't forces mobilized by Tony Evers to Kenosha so that these vigilantes didn't go out there and have to shoot people who they felt they were being attacked by.
Yeah, like it should have been cops shooting them with rubber bullets instead of this guy shooting them with real ones.
There's a passive quality to the tragedy thing, right? Like, I mean, this is like almost like a natural event on some level. And
it's just what happens.
I mean, you know, you can also, you can perceive these things as natural events and still condemn it. You can say it was absolutely obvious that 17-year-olds who have been trained with semi-automatic weapons for a moment like this, who are geared up, see the opportunity for them to play militiaman is going to happen. That was, you know, that's like, and to a certain extent, like, of course, you can't sell this many weapons in society. You can't create this type of divisiveness. You can't create these sort of fantasies in the minds of these people that they can be, you know, diehard John McClane, and they're constantly looking for any opportunity to be John McClane or whatever it is, and not expect this to happen. You couldn't say like there's something natural to this. I think that's the case with, you know, much of what we've seen in terms of violence on both sides. That this is a response to an environment that you set up. You can still condemn it.
Yeah. Yeah, we can condemn the wider structural forces that led to this violence at the same time that we can condemn this kid for killing people.
Yeah. And it can still be a tragedy. Calling from a